Hello there, my name is Bonnie Violet, and in case you don't know where you are, this is Dragon Spirituality. This is the fourth of 12 conversations that we're having on drag and spirituality. Basically, we're just taking a little bit of time to talk with local Bay Area drag artists to talk a little bit about their drag and potentially spirituality and see where maybe the two meet or maybe where they went separate. You know, who knows? But we just want to have a conversation about those two things at the same time. So Herman Wishes is a trans male drag king based here in San Francisco. He enjoys making people laugh and creating numbers that make people think about the world around them and current issues, as well as think what made him think this was a good idea. At 18 years old, Herman is still figuring out this crazy thing we call life. He's not sure he understands it all, but hey, does anyone? And this is a performance by Herman Wishes. That was funny. Did you eat a raw egg?
I did eat a raw egg.
That was hilarious. Welcome to the show. Thank you for sharing that with us tonight. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that number. What kind of inspired?
That was, well, what really inspired it is, 1 second. I'm on the interview. Thank you. What really inspired it was I had an individual, actually, I'm going to out her. My drag mom was like, you can't bring a chicken into a drag show. This is a restaurant. We can't have live animals. And I was like, you're no fun. And then quarantine happened. No one said I can't do drag with chickens at my own home. So that was my number for my for Turbo Pageant.
Oh, it's so fun, so fun. I'd never heard the song before, and it was greatly done. Had a nice message to it for sure. So how long have you been doing drag?
Jeez. Let's see. Year? It's July now. So like a year and a half.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So pretty good chunk of time though. A year and a half. Yeah. And what kind of inspired you to start doing drag? You would have been what, like 16?
I was 16 when I started. Yeah. So I've always been an actor, and I was at an audition, and I at the time was still presenting as female, and I went to go in for a male role, and the director said, "You're female. It says female on your resume. I can't audition you for a male role." And I'd always played male roles. I played maybe 3 female roles in my career, and I was like, okay, well, you're awful. And I went home really crushed, like, geez, can I not play male roles anymore? Because, like, I've hit female puberty. And I stumbled upon a YouTube video. I turned to YouTube and I found a YouTube video of drag kinks, and something in my heart was like, yeah, it just clicked. And so I just went on the path of figuring out, hey, how can I do that?
Gotcha. Yeah. So who did you find online? Do you remember?
I found the BuzzFeed video of King Phantom, Land Insider, Havoc Van Doom, and Onyx. I forget his last name, or Ivory Onyx, and where they like did drag king makeovers. And then I kind of went down the rabbit hole from there.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I love Landon. I really have to like research my drag kings a little bit more. So I was curious too. I met you. I remember when I first met you, we were in San Jose at a performance.
Yeah.
And I remember like just being blown away, like, because that night in particular, like, I was like a deer in headlights, and I totally lost like all my words and was like stunned. And then you come on and you're just like, you're a great performer. I love what you do. It's so fun to watch. And your family was there.
My family was there, yeah.
Which was really cool to see as well. How have they been with your drag?
They've been great. I mean, they've been, as long as you're safe and as long as we don't really have to pay for it, they're really supportive. of it. My dad came up with my drag name. I kind of sat him down at dinner and I was like, I'm doing drag. You can't say anything about it. I don't care. This is what I'm doing. And I was like, I want to work with the last name Wishes. And they kind of all went silent. And my dad finally was like, Herman Wishes. And so they've always been really, really supportive, especially with kind of quarantine and having to do it all at home. Forcing, they've kind of been pulled into it, whether they like it or not. I think it's brought me closer, especially with my dad, because he's been filming everything. He's been doing all the lighting. And so it's been nice to be able to like share something that really hits me deep in the heart and that I really love with my family and kind of get their feedback. They say that you are your worst critic, and no one's ever sat through a drag show with my family. It's like watching with the old guys from the Muppets. I love them to pieces, but we don't watch the shows together anymore.
Yeah. So do they hold you to a high standard? Or?
There's a very high standard, and I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's fantastic that you have that with your family. How are you handling going from drag, from being on stage to the virtual scene? How's that been for you? It sounds like you made some connections, like better connections with your father, but what else has been good?
I miss people. It's different, like performing. And I think like everybody is their worst critic, and I don't like looking back and watching myself perform because I'm going to pick out everything I could have done different. So sitting there and editing is like an exercise and not wanting to redo the thing for like the third time. But it's really great because I started drag at 16. I just turned 18. I don't have a lot of opportunities to perform. But now, you can't really censor your shows on the internet. And so I've been able to perform. I've kind of started to step back because I realized, wow, I just can't do everything. But I've been able to perform in shows that have been hosted across the country, or even local shows that I wouldn't have been able to perform in pre-COVID due to the fact that they're held in bars.
Right. So I guess that is a perk, huh? That's something I've loved too, is being able to see just so much more drag from all over the globe. Has there been anything challenging during this time?
I think you have a lot of time on your hands. I think I'm always competing with myself and kind of seeing someone else did this. How can I do that and be better? And it is exhausting when you're always trying to like hold yourself, even when nothing is going on, trying to make yourself reach a certain level. And so I think it's just I've been able to take time and figure out, how do I continue to do this, the level of professionalism I love, but not burn myself out.
Right. Do you feel, I was talking with someone earlier in the week, and they were saying that they feel a lot of pressure at times to top their previous performance.
It does feel like there's a lot of pressure. And I think a lot of pressure, not only it comes with like performing when you're doing it live, you're focusing on you. You're focusing on your behavior, your performance, your presentation. But then there's the pressure of going online of shit. Now, can I swear on this?
You're fine. Yes.
Okay. Now I have to edit and work with the sound and work with the technology. So there's like a whole other level of pressure. And there's some people who are performers and they do that for a living. And then there's me who barely knows how to use iMovie. And so it's kind of this pressure of, oh, everyone is doing this way. Why can't I as well?
Right. Yeah. Just like everything else, takes a little bit of practice and time.
That's human nature. We're competitive and we get jealous.
Yeah, that we do. Right. So let's go back a little bit to tell us a little bit about like life before Herman Wishes. Tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up.
I had a freaking, from the outside, I had a really great childhood. From the inside, I was freaking miserable. I had no exposure to really the LGBT community. That was nobody's fault. It just wasn't like the circle that my family, was in. And that wasn't something on TV growing up. And so I really, really struggled with the outside not matching the inside, but not knowing that that was a thing. And so, like, you couldn't get young me to wear a dress. And if you did, there would be huge temper tantrums. One year for a Passover, we were going to a Seder, and my parents, told me get all dressed up in a dress, and my dad got the date wrong. And I was so miserable because we had to wait there for hours. And he got the date wrong, so I was stuck in this dress. And so my parents said that because I was so miserable, my dad would have to wear a dress in exchange and post that photo on the internet because he messed up the event date by like a week and a half, and I had to suffer in a dress. So should he. So my parents, my family were like, they knew I wasn't comfortable in like traditional female clothes, and they let me shop in the boy section since I was like 3 years old. Since I had like the choice to, I was always participating in that. But as I got older, I thought I had to conform to be more feminine. I started to wear dresses. I grew my hair out. I was miserable, and it made me really depressed and really suicidal. And so I had a fair amount of attempts due to other things, but a big part of being, I don't know who I am, but I know I'm not this person. Why should I continue to suffer like this? And it wasn't until I think I was 13, I watched Orange is the New Black, and I saw Liver and Cox, and I saw a trans person, and then I thought you could only transition from male to female. And then I watched The Fosters, and I saw trans men. And I was like, yeah, that's it. But I still didn't say anything. I said I was a lesbian because I thought that if you're a masculine female, you must be attracted to girls because, we're raised on stereotypes. And then finally, when I was 16, I couldn't do it anymore. I came out, and then it took me, and after I was like, I'm a man, I still tried to date girls. I was like, being trans is enough. I'm going to be straight. Like, I have to be straight. I have to be normal. And then finally after that, I was like, I cannot do this. I can't lie to myself. I can't lie, to the people I'm dating, this or that. And I just finally was like, screw it. I'm gay and I'm trans. Deal with it.
Right.
Yeah.
And how did when did you tell your family about all that?
So when I was nervous, they had said some stuff before. I think, it wasn't out of cruelty. It was just we all say dumb stuff when we're uneducated and we're ignorant. And they've become great allies, really, really great allies now. But so I went to a friend's house and I called them from my friend's house. And I told them, look, I'm trans, I'm a boy. And they said, we love you no matter who you are. You still have to come home and clean your room. Oh. So I went home and we talked about it. And I was like, look, I'm getting surgery, I'm getting hormones. You can either, accept this and whatever. I was very, front about it. And they were very accepting. And I think they knew I was going to do it anyway, so they might as well be accepting. I think the name change was hardest on them because my dad's middle name was the name of my dad's mother, who had passed before I was born. And so I think that was the hardest, and just like the adjusting. But now they're both advocates and teaching their friends and people in their community who are older who might not know about this. And so I really appreciate that they've really been super accepting.
Supportive of it all, huh?
Mm-hmm.
They sound really great. Looks like we have our first question from the audience tonight. Angel asked, as a drag king, what has been most difficult?
I think making space. I've got to say, where I've performed, I've been really welcomed and people have worked to make space. So I think but there have been times, actually frequently, I go to perform and people decide when they hear King, that's when they're going to take their bathroom break. That's when they're going to talk to their friends. That's when they're going to go on their phones. So I go up in their face and I do my thing and I'm like, fine, you have to pay attention to me. You don't have to like what I'm doing, but you have to respect it, And I think there's a lot of the misgendering. I get called she, frequently. And I'm like, okay, you don't call a drag queen he, him. You don't call a drag king she. And
Right.
especially, and sometimes it's announced I'm a trans drag king, that in and out, my pronouns are he and him, and they still get disrespected. And so I think for me, it's the hardest part is it's exhausting to try to like get respect when everyone else, like, no disrespect to all the other performers, like they're amazing, I've worked with amazing performers, but from an audience point of view they automatically get their respect, and I have to fight tooth and nail to get the same amount, both on a monetary level and also just on an attention level. And at the end of the day, as much as I love doing what I do, it can be like both physically and like mentally exhausting to have to fight just because my existence is a little different.
A little different, yeah. It does seem like drag queens are can in a lot of spaces kind of dominate I guess the space, so to speak, and it seems to be what most like people are. I don't know. Yeah. How have you coped with that? Have you found like a community?
Yeah, there's an amazing King community in the Bay Area. But I've also found a space within the Queens. I found a lot of acceptance, and I found them fighting to use their voices and their power that they have as a queen and as a female entertainer um, to. Susanna, I'm on the It's okay. Um, that they've been using what they have to stick up for me and kind of speak with people and give me space, which I really appreciate, because sometimes, as much as I am the type of person that wants to do everything by myself, it's really helpful
To have, yeah, support.
Mhm.
One of the questions from the audience as well ask, what has been the most awarding when doing drag, or rewarding?
Oh, I have people come up to me and said, "I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know, AFAB people could do that. I didn't know women could do that. I know, trans people could do that." Um, and that really warms my heart because I know I've like opened the door for someone. I've also, I did a drag story hour. I hosted one in Marin County, and just seeing the kids like light up when they saw drag, and just seeing people come up to me and say thank you for being out, thank you for doing this. Really, it melts my heart. I try to be all tough on the outside, which I'm not very good at, but it really, just knowing that like what I love to do and I just do it, for fun. I do it to make a change. It's working.
Yeah. It sounds like you are that person on YouTube for them, so to speak, like
yeah, exactly.
helping folks see something that they might have been drawn to. They might kind of have a feeling, but they lack the imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do I do with it? And it's awesome that you get to be that now for other people.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other, so a lot of the folks they're wanting to know, where can they watch you? Like, where can they see you perform?
Ooh, you can find my social media, everything, Facebook and Instagram is at Herman Wishes. And so I should be better about uploading videos, but I do keep a good schedule up there and do posts about shows online, and then back when we get out into the real world. And so I'm around. Just kind of stay up to date with that, and you should be able to find me.
Okay. So do you have anything on the calendar coming up?
I do, and I honestly can't remember what it is.
All right.
So it's a surprise for all of us.
There you go. Well, yeah,
I'll get back to you. Yeah.
All right. I'm sure that the audience can do a little bit of fishing if they need, and we'll try that.
I remember what it was. Polsexual on August 2nd. That's all. I don't remember the rest of the details.
Polsexual August 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
And is that hosted, is that just its own show, or is it part of a club, or?
No, it's hosted. I know it was at a bar. Just shows how uneducated I am about the bar scene. But it is its own show.
Awesome. We'll have to check it out. Angel has another question and wants to know, how do you ask for support when you need it?
Oh God. Like in a drag way or like in a human being way? We're gonna go both. Okay. I just say, hey, can I get your advice? Especially if it's a drag thing, that for me is it's easier, but to talk about like human emotions. I'm not the best about, like, I will sit and be like, I really need to talk to so and so, or I really need support right now, and I will just sit with that and not act on it. So I'm definitely working on that's something that, like, even as a performer and like with my art, I just struggled to kind of ask for help, and that's a human thing. So I guess it depends. It really differs. Sometimes I just have to like beat the anxiety and just go out and say it, like, hey, can I X, Y, Z, or hey, can you help me X, Y, and Z, and kind of just like hope something bad doesn't happen, and nothing bad ever happens. Right. But I guess I don't really do it in a way that I should say, hey, you all should try doing this as well,
Gotcha. Yeah, I just kind of also, I know you had mentioned a little bit about, I guess, maybe your family has religion that you grew up with.
Yeah.
What has your experience been with that? Like then, now?
So I'd say I'm a practicing Jew. Like, I've always been kind of trying to get myself more involved and, a little bit more religious, but I'm definitely like celebrate the holidays. I do it on both like religious and more of like a spiritual connection level. I think growing up, is very much it wasn't something like, if you don't want to do it, you still have to do it. Everything was a choice. Mm-hmm. Getting bat mitzvah was a choice. My sister and I have a twin sister. We said we want this, so it was something my parents or my family really pushed on us. It was, hey, we're doing this, you can join us, right. Which was like really positive. And then the congregation from like part of my childhood was very welcoming. It was a very reformed congregation. They were queer people, I remember there was like a lesbian couple, and I was like 12, and I kind of was like, hey, and I did get to a Jewish summer camp one year, and I remember the camp rabbi came around and asked people were asking questions. They said, what does the Torah say about homosexual relations? That's not the word they use, so it's the one that comes to my mind. And the rabbi, said, man shall not sleep with man, woman shall not sleep with woman. And I was very much deeply in the closet. Like, growing up, I was like, when you clean out your closet and you find like a book from 7 years ago, it's so deep in the closet. That's how far deep in the closet I was. And so I just, that really hurt. And I didn't really know what to make of that, because I was coming to become an adult in this faith. And then I came home, and it was just like, that wasn't mentioned again. The religious community I was in was very accepting. So I was kind of like, okay, I don't know what to make of that, but that happened, but doesn't seem to be an issue here. So I've had a really great experience, like being an LGBT Jew, and having like my community be really affirming. And as I dive more into that, kind of being able to find parts of my history and my ancestry that I don't have to be ashamed of because I don't feel I fit into that. And so just that really kind of completes my ideology around it.
Gotcha. So it all seems to fit, mm-hmm. That's great. One of the other questions that somebody has is, where do you see the future of drag kings?
There's the future I want, and I think there's the realistic future. I want kings when you say my favorite drag artist is, I want you to think of a king and a queen. I want to see kings on mainstream drag television. Unfortunately, we're not going to see that with RuPaul's Drag Race, and that's where a lot of people are exposed to drag. And so, there definitely are barriers, and that comes with media exposure. Kings have been around forever, as long as queens, So it's not like we're something new. It's just about this power dynamic that comes with media and that comes with respect. And I think there's also a bit like on another level, a bit, you could say even what about like the misogyny, the respect of these either trans men or women who are performing? Where's the respect level of that? And so I think society has a long way to come, but I do believe that we will be able to mainstream not just queens, but kings, people who are drag royalty that maybe don't fall into one of those categories. I think long enough we've only seen, one box out of the whole set, and it's getting a little boring.
Right. Yeah. I'm excited for that future as well. It would be great to see just more folks on platforms. It's interesting just the gender dynamics of how, like we're like switching genders, some of us, or we're presenting, like we're playing with genders in ways, and it's like not changing the power dynamics, or is it? It's
I don't know who said it, but someone said it. And it's even though, many drag queens are just putting on a dress, they still have the male privilege. And obviously that doesn't speak for every performer. There are plenty of non-binary or trans, queens and kings and whatever. But I think that's what you see, at least like in the mainstream. There is that bit of privilege. That also comes with, as a performer, I'm a white person. I have white privilege that comes with being as well in the performer community. I mean, you have to kind of look back, take a step back and say, there's all these different types of privilege that we're seeing that affect our performers. What can we do to make the ground more equitable and give people what they need to succeed, regardless of what's in their pants or how their art is presenting?
Yeah. And I was curious. But my brain went away of the question I was going to ask. What was I going to ask? That's the fun of live. I wanted to say television, but it's not television. Right. Feel free, if you all have any questions in the comments, to please continue to send them for us. I think I've asked all of the questions that we've gotten so far. What was I going to ask? It was so good. I know it was like just so good. Let's see. What was I going to ask? So do you have any, what advice would you give a person who is looking to get into being a drag king? What kind of advice would you have for them?
I mean, it's so easy to be caught up in our fears and our own expectations. We all suck at the beginning. We're all awful at the beginning. Our makeup sucks. Our facial hair is awful. I mean, like, I'm still trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing. We're not all polished when we start, and that's okay. That's the fun of it. It's growing as an individual and as a performer. Don't be afraid. It's so easy to say, don't be afraid of what other people are going to say and how you're going to breaking into a circle, or what people are going to say about you or the art. But some words of wisdom that I've always lived by is never apologize for your art. People are obviously, like, if there's something really wrong, on a political level, on a, level regarding race or sexuality, or there's something in there, obviously, but in a sense of you're creating something, don't let someone tell you you should have done this or your art is less than because of this. So don't apologize for what you've created, because at the end of the day, it's a product of your heart and your mind, and that should be beautiful enough.
Gotcha. Well said. And what about performers who are under 21? Do you have any thoughts on that?
My first thing is, if you know of any gigs, hit me up. But second of all, again, just because you're this or you're that, or you're trans or you're questioning or you're young or older or whatever, that shouldn't stop you. I think we have structures in place in our society, as well as in our arts communities, that do have barriers for certain demographics. But if you want something, just keep on fighting for it, because there's nothing that warms my heart more than seeing someone fight and succeed for what makes them happy. And so, if I can do it, sure as hell, you can.
Right. And are there a lot of young people like yourself that are kind
There's
of
a handful. And it depends. And again, there's a difference between being a young king and a young queen, because a young queen, oh, they're a drag queen, they're so cute and adorable. A young king is, yeah, just wait 4 or 5 years or whenever. And that comes back to what I said earlier, the attitude, and the differences. But there's a handful. And again, they all have their different amount of privilege and of struggle. And everyone, as much as you want to combine and be together based on location or even parental ability and resources, everyone has a different journey. And it's all very, very different. So there are a handful, yeah.
Gotcha. One of the questions from the audience is, how have your friends responded to you, and do they come out to support you?
Well, if any of my friends are watching, I think it's hard because a lot of my friends are Marin. I've recently moved to San Francisco. A lot of my friends, like my age group, it's hard to come out like on a Monday, on a school day. I also graduated high school early, so that gave me a lot of time to be able to work on my drag, where other people are like taking the SATs and all that. They're very supportive and they want to come out and support. It's just about being able to take the time and do so. But they're not negative about it. I think,
Right.
Yeah.
I remembered what I was going to ask you about. I was going to ask you about, you had mentioned your drag family.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what is the makeup of your drag family and how that functions for you?
Honestly, I don't know. Everyone's like, I'm your drag aunt, I'm your drag uncle. And I'm like, cool, hi. But they're great. They're a great support system. My drag mother is Sadist Payne, and she told me the genealogy a while ago, and I honestly, I can't remember it. But I do have a community of a lot of really supportive performers who have said they're part of the family. Vera, the King Vera, is my drag debrunkle, because no one's really sure if they're my drag dad, brother, or uncle. So they're my drag debrunkle. But I think I'm kind of like, it's mixed in. Everybody's it's a big melting pot. And so titles and stuff aren't super important to me. But I've gotten a lot of support, both in and out of drag from the community and from my drag family.
Right. It's so helpful to one, know that there are people who've come before us,
yeah,
and that they're willing to kind of help pull us along with them.
I mean, I wouldn't be out as the trans man I am if it weren't. I was sat down by Sadie, and then another queen, Dark Amethyst, and they basically sat me down after a show, and they were like, "So when are you gonna come out? So when are you gonna come out? It's okay to be trans." And it was like everybody knew but me in that moment, which was true. Kind of everybody did know but me. And so I think without their support of what they were the first people to tell me, hey, it's okay, I definitely would not have. I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be as proud and comfortable with myself if it weren't for them. So on and off the stage, my drag family has just been the heaven sent.
Fantastic. And who are some of your biggest inspirations?
I'm not trying to be the drag king cliche here, but Landon Sider, I think even Dragula, but ever since the beginning of me figuring out drag, like I said, those the kings on the video, I've been following them and I've been really inspired from a drag level. Landon Sider, I'm also always inspired by kind of the kings and queens that in the Bay Area that are pulling out something new every time. From just outside of a drag level that like affects my drag. There's definitely part of Herman. There's a lot of goof. There's a lot of goofball. A lot of like Robin Williams is definitely like an inspiration. And kind of yeah, and there's a bit of like a try for the old school charm. I try for this bit of like but chivalry. It doesn't always come off of that. It just comes off as like awkward and clumsy. But I think there's like a little bit of this like as like an inspiration for like myself and my transition, as well as like for Herman, definitely Bruce Springsteen. I don't know. I've just since I was young, like he's just this very butch, very kind-hearted, but very like butch person and character, and a little bit of that like retro that I try to bring to Herman. It doesn't always project because anxiety, but yeah.
No, you do fantastic, and you bring so much like joy and levity to what you do. So another question is, do you feel you have a responsibility to be a role model to other young trans males or drag queens?
I don't think I go out saying, oh shit, I'm a role model I gotta watch. I think it shocks me when people are like, you're an inspiration, you're a role model, because I'm like, me? Really? Did you not just see all that? But I really appreciate it. Just kind of make me reach out and say, okay, what can I do to help support you? What can, if you're looking to me, how can I support you? And I've definitely been in contact with a lot of younger trans guys who I've been mentoring and such, because I know what it's like to be hurt and alone and struggling. And I never want anyone else to feel that way. So whether it's with my art or whether it's as an individual, I do think it's my duty now to use the resources and the energy I can. I'm still learning. I'm still looking up to people and to my elders, both in drag and just as a trans and gay person, and learning. But when I have the energy and the ability, it is absolutely my duty to give back.
Yeah. I feel like just like us just existing and being visible is such a powerful thing for so many people that it's just kind of an automatic thing that
it
happens.
Is. Yeah.
For sure. Do you feel more pressure as like a role model as the trans man or as a drag king, or do you feel
it's hard to say because sometimes they kind of align themselves. It depends. I have from both ends, of my identity. People saying, "Hey, I look up to you," and me being able to provide support, whether it's like logistical, technical stuff about drag, or whether it's emotional support and support about coming out and being able to build those friendships and relationships through kind of a mutual experience. So I think it comes from both.
Got you. Yeah, it seems like you're very like whole, like you like very connected. Mm-hmm. Like it don't seem like a very fragmented like individual, which is very like great to see. It's taken me. I was curious too. I'm trans and still trying to like figure out what that is and what that looks like. And I feel like drag has been kind of a gift in allowing me to kind of like let her out a little bit. But in the process too, it's kind of like, I don't know where I end and drag begins, or, you know what I mean? Sometimes. And I was curious, how is that for you? Or does it feel just like, for me, it's just, I'm just me always. But I know people have different relationships with their drag persona and the person they are outside of drag.
I think it splits. There are definitely times in drag where I'm much butcher than I am, which is surprising because I'm obviously incredibly masculine, but where I try to put on this persona of they're coming to see drag king, they're coming to see masculinity at its most masculine. But then there's part of me that's more comfortable being more feminine because I know I'm not going to get shit. I know I'm not going to get, oh, you're not really a man. I know because it's art, because I am in control of it. So for me, drag allows me to release everything that I don't feel comfortable releasing in the real world. And so I think that's sometimes where it kind of continues on from my individual self. But a lot of the time, it's kind of like a blend, like a weird Venn diagram of me as a person.
Mm-hmm. So we've talked a lot about drag and all that, but what are your interests when you're not doing drag?
Acting, makeup, so all the aspects that go into drag. Activism, trans activism. There have been recent events that have kind of like pulled me more into that, both on like a political level and like an individual level, event wise. And so definitely activism and kind of making the world a better place, which sounds like super cheesy, but I just want to make a world where the next generation of young queer kids, of young trans kids have basic human rights and don't have to worry about things that we have to worry about today, or worry about their safety, walking down the street and being who they are. So that's really important to me. I'm still trying to figure out, what do I want in life and all that stuff. But definitely making people happy, making people comfortable within themselves is something that's important to me outside of drag as well.
So we are like right about done. We have about 5 more minutes. Was there anything else that you wanted to share about? And thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no worries. No.
All right. Okay, well then we'll probably, I don't think there are any other questions in the from the audience. So I just want to thank you, Herman Wishes, for joining me tonight and sharing yourself with us. And for folks who are still there, if you'd like to tip Herman Wishes, feel free to do so, as well as donate to the Transgender District. Also check out Herman Wishes social media to find out like which performances are coming up, so you can follow Herman. Thank you so much, and we're going to call it a night. So take care. Good night, Herman. Thank you.